When I was a junior in high school, there was this girl I spent a lot of time thinking about. Her name was Sienna Rollins. She had this alluring presence about her that's kind of hard to explain. But I'll try my best. She was really pretty, of course. But it was more than that. She had this mystique that I could never quite understand. A kind of presence you wouldn't normally associate with a typical pretty girl. She wasn't popular, and I got the impression that most people, guys and girls, were more intimidated by her than anything else. She wasn't warm. She didn't smile. Most people thought she was weird. I didn't. I found her fascinating. Whenever our eyes met, I would freeze up. Like how your body reacts when you step into a cold room or feel a sudden gust of wind. She reminded me of snow, the way a light snowfall muffles everything around you, even your own thoughts. She had that effect, but it felt like I was the only one who noticed it. Everyone else just saw someone quiet and distant, but I always wanted to know what she was thinking. At the time, I read a lot of young adult fantasy novels, so that probably influenced things. I also wrote a lot back then. I even named one of the characters in a story I was working on Sienna. You could say I was obsessed, but I also just liked the name. Anyway, one day I was walking up the stairs with my friend George, talking about that exact story. He asked me what the characters' names were, so I told him. And of course, the moment I said Sienna, who turns the corner, but the actual Sienna herself, walking with one of her friends. She smirked. It was the closest thing to a smile you could get from her. And she said something like, "Yeah, because you love me." I was completely embarrassed. George started laughing, which made it even worse. She was already walking past me, clearly not interested in continuing the conversation, and my chance was slipping away. I don't know what came over me, but right there, on the spot, I asked her out. That actually made her stop. She turned and gave me one of her signature cold stares. She didn't even need to speak. Her eyes said everything. How dare you even ask me that? But then she surprised me. She said yes. She gave me her number, then told me she'd text me, and walked away without letting me respond. I was shocked. But that's how I ended up going on a hike with the girl I had been thinking about for months. The hike wasn't my idea, by the way. None of it was. She planned everything, and I got the feeling I didn't really have a say in it. And honestly, I didn't mind. Fast forward to the weekend. Sienna picked me up and drove us to a trail she had chosen. I had never been there, and neither had anyone I knew. The drive was about 45 minutes, but it felt like 10 because I was so lost in my thoughts. She had the window down, playing music from her phone, stuff I didn't recognize. We pulled into a gravel lot at the base of the trail. There were maybe 2 other cars there. Sienna didn't hesitate. She just started walking. I followed. For the first 20 minutes, everything was actually great. She was more talkative than I had ever seen her, which still wasn't very talkative, but for her, it was a lot. She asked about the story I was writing, which was a bit embarrassing, but I gave her a rough summary anyway. Eventually, the trail narrowed and the trees got denser. We hadn't seen anyone since the parking lot. Then we reached a fork in the trail. I asked which way. She pointed left, without hesitation. I asked if she had been there before. She said no. That felt strange, especially with how confident she seemed, but I didn't question it. The left path was clearly less maintained. I started getting the feeling we were going the wrong way, but I kept quiet. At some point, I realized I couldn't hear her footsteps anymore. The trail had become so narrow that we were walking single file, and she had told me to go first. But when I turned around, she was gone. The trail behind me was empty. I called her name. No response. Confused, I walked back to the fork. She wasn't there either. I thought maybe she had stepped off to use the bathroom, but there was nowhere for her to go. No side trail, nothing. She had just disappeared. So I tried the right path. It was even more overgrown. The further I went, the less it felt like a real trail. I kept calling her name, not knowing what else to do. Then I heard a branch snap off to my left. I looked over and saw movement behind a tree. I immediately thought it was her, messing with me. That felt like something she would do. So I decided to turn the tables. I crept toward the tree as quietly as I could, and then jumped out to scare her. But mid-yell, I realized it wasn't Sienna. It was a man, tall, middle-aged, and completely calm. I froze.
Then instinct kicked in and I stepped back. I blurted out something about looking for my friend, but it sounded stupid even as I said it. He didn't care. He started walking toward me, so I turned and walked quickly back toward the trail, trying not to run. Then another sound, this time from my right. I looked and saw a second man. He wasn't hiding. He was just standing there watching me, holding what looked like a tree branch. That's when I ran. The second man was blocking the way back to the trail, so I ran deeper into the woods, not even knowing where I was going, just trying to escape. Both of them started chasing me. They weren't even trying to be quiet anymore. The forest was dense and it was hard to move fast. Then suddenly, something grabbed my ankle. I fell hard. It was the first man. He tried to pin me down. I screamed and kicked and somehow managed to break free. I got back up and ran. My mouth was full of blood. I must have bitten it when I fell. I didn't look back. I just kept running until I found the trail. Then I ran all the way back to the parking lot. Sienna's car was still there, but the other two cars were gone. Sienna wasn't anywhere in sight. I panicked. I thought those men had taken her. I called her phone over and over. No answer. I was just about to call the police when she texted me, "Where did you go?" As I was replying, I looked up and saw her walking out of the tree line, completely calm. I shouted at her to hurry and told her what happened. She didn't seem scared, not even a little. She looked annoyed. We got in the car and left. I told her everything. She barely reacted. That's when I asked her where she had gone. She said she thought I had gone ahead and that she was trying to catch up. That was impossible. I had walked all the way back to the fork. There was no way I would have missed her. That's when a thought hit me. What if she had something to do with it? I didn't know how or why, but the feeling wouldn't go away. The ride home was tense. I kept looking at her, wondering if someone who seemed so calm, so distant, could actually do something like that. Honestly, the answer is probably yes. She dropped me off. We said goodbye, and that was it. We never hung out again. I never reached out to her, and she never reached out to me. I've told this story to a few friends over the years. They all say the same thing, that she set me up, that she knew those men, that she led me there on purpose. I've thought about that more times than I can count, but I still don't understand why anyone would do something like that. I don't know where Sienna is now. She's not on social media, and I have no idea what happened to her after high school.